All right, I see a few folks have already joined us. Thank you so much for joining right on time. We'll give it another minute while we wait for folks to get here. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the chat. And if you'd like, I'd love to know where you're visiting from today. If you can go ahead and just type in your name and where you're located, I'd love to hear from you. I'll get it started. Hi, Rodrigo, Southern California. Nice. Hi, Mike. Got quite the spread. California, Massachusetts, Michigan, Oregon, Indiana, Arkansas, Minnesota. Great. Well, hey, thank you all so much for joining us today. I'll be your host. My name is Courtney Steele. Today we're going to be talking about how to enhance operational excellence and really looking at how we can use multimodal SOPs to do that, and how Six Sigma and Lean and process improvement methodologies are a big part of that story. So thank you all again for joining, and I will go ahead and jump in. If you don't mind moving the slide for me, Patrick. All right, so let's do some quick introductions. And really the goal of the introductions today is not only so you understand us, but also so you know that we have some expertise in this area. So I'll go ahead and hand it off to Patrick to get us started.
Yeah, thanks, Courtney. Can you hear me? Just
Yes.
checking. Audio. Good, cool. Yeah, good afternoon or maybe good morning, everybody, depending on where you're located at. Good evening, perhaps. Yeah, so my name is Patrick Matos. I'm the Chief Product Officer at DeepHow and one of the co-founders. Maybe just a quick intro about myself. So you probably perceive by my accent, I'm Brazilian. So I have a very strong Brazilian accent, coming from a family of blue-collar workers, what is a very interesting part of my story. My dad and my grandpa and my uncle, and actually I even had a fatality in my family that we lost my dad's brother in a log-out, tag-out incident in a shop floor. So these topics are very, very connected with my life story and passion. I spent my entire career working product. I worked for Siemens before, focusing on building product for the manufacturing environment and industrial environment over 10, 15 years. So that's what I'm passionate about, trying to find a connection between the user needs, the technology, and problems that we can solve, right? So that's what I'm passionate about. And yeah, I would love to share a little bit my thoughts on this and also learn from you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Patrick. And like you said, this is a collaborative webinar, so please use the chat feature to share your thoughts as we go through the conversation and all of the materials we're going to look at together. Love to hear what you think and how you may already be doing something similar to this, or using some of these process improvement methodologies in your own works. Like I said, my name is Courtney Steele. I'm a PMP certified project manager. I currently work at DeepHow. I've been here for the last year and a half, working very closely with our founders, Patrick and Sam, and really focusing on how our industry is evolving with Industry 4.0 and the digital transformation that we're experiencing right now in manufacturing and the skilled trades. So really excited to connect an area of my expertise, which is process improvement, with manufacturing and digitization. Let's jump in. Before we get too far, I'll just share the agenda with you so you can you have an idea of where we're going today. So we'll cover the impact of effective knowledge capture and sharing, and how critical that is, especially in an era where we have a lot of new workers joining and other workers retiring. We'll talk about the need for evolving SOPs. As technology evolves, there's a lot of opportunity here, and what exactly a multimodal SOP is and how that revolutionizes knowledge capture and sharing. And then I know this says discussion and Q&A at the end, and we will have um, a time for that. However, please feel free to jump into the chat or the Q&A feature and ask questions or share your insights throughout. while and then we can address each question at the end. But of course, would love to hear from you throughout the webinar. All right, and with that, we're going to get started. So first, let's talk about why it's important that we capture expertise and we share it efficiently. And there's a few reasons why this is important. And certainly, if you've been in the industry for a while, you know there's an alphabet soup of methodologies out there that really help to improve and accelerate operational excellence. And a lot of them are focused on things like waste reduction or process improvement or streamlining, a lot of these fun buzzwords that we all love to use and throw around. But really, the end goal at the end of the day is we just want to get there faster, safer, more efficiently, and more cost effectively. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. And certainly when we think about the power of it and we see what those different tactics look like and the impacts of it, you might recognize some things here that are relevant to you and your organization, whether it's focusing on consistent procedures, streamlining your operations, or even just standardization. There's a lot of different pieces of work that go into this effort. But before we get too far into this topic, I'd like to level set as a group. I've got a number of folks joining me today, and while our goal is not to provide a lecture on Six Sigma or Lean, I just want to know, are you familiar with these methodologies? And what are you using in your organization? So I just threw up a poll. I've provided a number of different methodologies in here, and I'm just curious if you recognize any of these, what you're using. So question one is focused on, what are you familiar with? Question two is, and which of these does your organization leverage to improve? I'm going to give everybody a minute or two to put in their answers. And once I see that we've got a good healthy majority, I'll go ahead and end the poll so we can share the results. All right, I've got about Hey everybody, I am so sorry about that. My Zoom just quit unexpectedly. And can you hear me, Patrick?
Yeah, we're all good.
Okay, great. All right, we're going to keep rolling. That's never happened before, but we will just keep going. I've got about 22 of you responding to the poll. I see that some of you may not have seen it. I apologize for that. Hopefully you'll be able to see the results when we share it here in a moment. I'm going to go ahead and push the poll. So if you haven't had a chance to lock in your answer, please do so in the next 5 seconds. All right, we're at 75%. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and I'll share the results with you. So it's always interesting to see which methodologies folks tend to use and are familiar with. Of course, Six Sigma and Lean being our leaders is not surprising. Those are definitely some of the most tested and popular methodologies for a reason. They do work. Kaizen is a good one to see here as well. I see that business process reengineering is not as popular. That is very interesting. And then looking down at which of these methodologies does your organization leverage to improve? Pretty healthy split between Six Sigma, Lean, and Kaizen. And then we've got some Scrum folks in the house. Great. I'm a big fan of Scrum. Patrick, any reactions to the poll?
It's just great to see, of course, the entire industry is trying to find a way for excellence, right? A path for excellence. And like you mentioned, there are different methodologies there, and it's great to learn what they have been using. And of course, we love to connect these with the better way to capture and share knowledge that can impact this efficiency topic. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. And if you'd like to share anything about the methodology that you prefer in the chat, please do so. I'd love to hear what's working for you and how that journey's going. All right, let's go ahead and hop over. So, as we improve our methodologies, as we react to what's happening with technology and advancements, there's definitely a piece of our business that we have to really think about, and that's SOPs. SOPs for the past 50, 60, 70 plus years have been relatively similar, written, often printed out, available in binders or manuals, and they're typically used at the beginning of an employee's journey. With technology, there's so many opportunities. And I know there's a few of you joining today who already use technology to leverage and distribute your SOP materials. And so if that's something that you're doing, love to hear how that's going for you. Well, let's just take a moment to spend some time on this topic.
Yep, that's great, Courtney. Good. So then let's look at this closely. And again, like today, of course, just to align our expectations here, it's not a marketing pitch. Neither we're going to be talking about sign up for DeepHow, right? Of course, if you're interested, please do. But the key goal here is to spend your next 20, 30 minutes discussing what exactly the impact that well done capture and knowledge sharing can have on the efficiency topic, right? And effectiveness of your environment. And that's heavily connected with the methodologies that Courtney was talking about, right? So then bear with me for a little bit. I will walk you through what exactly is the state of the art today, what exactly the literature helps us to understand how this can be improved, which opportunities do we have, and then also what technology can do for this, right? And then later on, I will share a little bit about the model or the approach we are taking. And again, the goal here is less to talk about DeepHow, but more to talk about like how does this evolve and why we're a strong believer that something that we call multimodal SOP can have a huge impact, right? So hopefully at the end of this section, you learn something, or you see why we are taking this approach, and then how this approach can be beneficial for you, right? So that's really the entire goal for this section. Of course, then we all know traditional SOPs, they have a lot of impact today, but they have a lot of limitations as well, right? So many of us, we have been using the traditional SOPs approach, either, of course, more old school papers, or almost the state of the art today is digitizing the paper experience, right? Then again, you don't have the papers anymore, but to have a digital version of this paper, what we call more like this traditional SOP approach. You may have this in a tablet, and then you still need to have a lot of time for content creation. The content creation is still very limited because then you need to go to the shop floor, take pictures, bring this back to your environment, or work with the expert trying to remember what exactly the tasks and the sequence of events are. So there are a lot of knowledge lost actually when you try to translate something that people do with their hands and live, when you try to translate that to a series of instructions that you need to remember from your memory and trying to write this down, right? So there are a lot of inefficiencies on the traditional way to do SOP. But even that, of course, it's heavily used and it has been helping the industry for a long time, right? So, but just want to make a statement that this way to do it has a lot of limitations, and probably many of you have been experienced these limitations already, even when you move this to a digital version. And I want to connect this with the literature, and there are a lot of experts looking at the science of learning, right? How do people learn, and how the learning can be more efficient and more effective, right? And all this research shows that if you take an approach that use more multimedia content and use multimodal content, that this learning can happen more effectively. Because again, the goal for capturing this knowledge, because then it traces back to Six Sigma and Lean and many of these methodologies, right? To get to operational excellence, you need to capture the knowledge, but also share this knowledge efficiently. You're not looking just for a knowledge repository to save this knowledge before John leaves and then nobody's gonna access this knowledge anymore, right? So you do need to find a way not only to capture the knowledge efficiently, but also share this knowledge in a way that connects with people, that they get engaged, and that's more important, that adapt to their way of learning. And just to illustrate, of course, there are a lot of different studies and research about it, but just to illustrate one of them, there is this Myers 12 principle of multimedia learning, right? So Dr. Richard Myers, he had spent a lot of time in his life studying how people learn and how is the impact of multimedia when you're approaching learning. And again, even though the goal for manufacturing environment or industrial environment is not necessarily to teach as it is at a school, but you need to make sure that the knowledge is well transferred, because you need your workers to operate those things with excellence, to be able to replicate the standards that you create, right? To operate this process in a safe way and so on and so forth. So that's why the effective transfer of this knowledge means a lot, right? Again, then when we look back in the traditional way that SOP works today, that's why I keep saying that it has a lot of limitations. And the interesting part is that doesn't need to be always in this way. So we can, if we put those things together, and that's heavily connected to why we are doing this multimodal SOP way. If you put all those things together, the limitation of the current way today, the science of how people learn, and then technology, then we can transform how we are capturing and sharing this knowledge, right? So I will quickly talk a little bit about this on the technology side. And of course, today is not a lecture about AI, neither am going to go too deep on any of those things, but just to highlight, there are a lot of buzz and attention on the AI, generative AI, and advanced AI, and a couple of these topics. And we are all either scared or excited or a mix of both, right? And it is transformative. It is transforming how we work. It is transforming how we use technologies. It is also transforming how we learn. And the interesting piece there, between many topics, we could spend like a full hour just talking about AI and the beauty of it, right? But one interesting piece I want to bring to our attention is the power of AI to transform a content. So what does it mean? You have, let's say, even if you record my voice here, and then I'm talking for 1 hour, you can use AI to transform this content into different levels, right? So you can make all my talk into a very simple summary. That will help because maybe you have just 2 or 5 minutes to get a gist of what we discussed today. Or you may have AI helping to transform this into chopped pieces, or into even like connect with the presentation that I did and video and so on and so forth. So the point here is AI, between many other capabilities, has a power to get a data that we're inputting and transform this data into different type of informations, right? Chopping this into pieces, but also transform this data. And why does it matter to this SOP topic, capture and sharing discussion, right? It's because when you're on the shop floor, you have a very unique way to work. And you have an audience or your experts, they work in their own way. They have the way to talk, like my Brazilian accent, talk a lot and so on and so forth. So you do not want your experts to become content creators experts, to become instructional designers. They are good on being experts. So how can you let them do the work as they do, capture the work as they do, because that's the most rich way to capture. In this case, we use video, of course, because then we're capturing all these different modalities. We're capturing the audio, we're capturing his hand movement, his face expressions, right? Or the way that he moves and how he handles the door to not hit his face with his elbow and so on and so forth. So you are capturing so much more information. And you don't want to force him to say that in a standard way as a robot, right? But in order to transform this into efficient documentation material, you need to standardize this documentation. And that's the beauty of AI in just one of these examples, that you can capture this person just doing the regular work that he does, being the best that he can be as an expert, not force him to become an instructional designer, and let AI grab his content and massage this content and transform this content for the way that your audience needs. And sometimes that will be needed for a specific formatting because of standards and ISO and compliance reasons, or sometimes that can be transformed to better match the learner. Because then we're talking about the learner. Sometimes a bunch of young folks that learn things very differently, has their attention span, they don't have that much attention to reading and so on and so forth, right? So anyways, the point here is, just want to highlight that we talk a lot about AI, we talk a lot about a couple of different capabilities, but one key capability is the power of transforming content to a couple of different other contents. Just a quick anecdote, but that's a real thing, right? Mark Cuban says, there are just two types of companies, the companies that will use AI, the companies that will, will be behind somehow. And again, that's not to scare us, but it's to bring back, like, The point is AI is a powerful tool, but then how do we apply AI and to do what? And which type of job should be done that we need help with, right? In this case, capture and share this knowledge more efficiently. I'm gonna jump into then what we do with that, right? So that's why we decided to introduce this multimodal SOP. That's really the strong reason behind it, right? So what is a multimodal SOP? We leverage AI to transform a video demonstration into a multimodal SOP, this new type of SOP. Patrick, a lot of blah, 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 but what does it mean? So if you see this video demonstration, like I said, is Patrick doing his work, the expert doing his work. We can capture that through a video and then use AI to break this and transform this into these modalities. That will connect with getting this video demonstration, transform this into an interactive video SOP, into a potential text SOP, because you may need a text SOP for a couple of different situations, to have the assessment, creating quizzes automatically. Can save a lot of time for content creation for quizzes, but also can have a more engaging quiz just out of this video demonstration, or even having a kind of a chat or Q&A with the content that you are able to ask questions to this content directly just through this multimodal approach, right? So that's just a way to illustrate, like I said, the capability to capture this unstructured data even, because Patrick is just talking, showing how he does the work and so on and so forth. And for the first time ever, transform this not only as a paper instruction SOP, neither a digital version of a paper, neither just a video SOP. And to be clear, DeepHow, the first iteration that we did is we transformed and created this video SOP. That was already a very big step. Now, with all the power of technology and understanding better and working with our customers, we learn like, wow, we can go even beyond. And there's a need to go beyond. So that's why we create this multimodal SOP, right? In short, we get a video demonstration and you can have this packaged into different layers that will adapt to people's need or to the industry need. Like I said, compliance and so on and so forth. More like in a feature base, what does it do, right? So then again, you can create text SOPs automatically. You can create quizzes and assessment. You can have an environment that you can ask the content to questions to the content directly. You can have summaries and highlights. The key thing here is, because we are focused on this industrial environment, then that needs to be safe, right? So that's connect with all the GDPR, SOC 2, Type 2 compliance, and so on and so forth. And also we are hosting our own models. I mean, we are hosting the models on our own servers. So this knowledge and the iteration that you have with this content doesn't go out on the wild, right? But again, like I said, it's less about DeepHow, it's more about why do we believe that multimodal SOP can be a transformative thing. Again, at the end of the day, what does it matter? Because then you can get a couple of benefits by taking this approach. One is you can reduce the cost of creating and capturing content. And of course, we're capturing this content with the most rich information as possible, recording a person doing it with all the layers already, right? Then you can also, of course, with this content, you can improve the training, you can maximize retention, you can enhance efficiency. So that ties this back to the methodology we were talking about. And more importantly, make this content more adaptive. Let's connect this adaptive learning. People can consume the type of content that they need in the way they want and the way they need, right? Doesn't need to be just a paper and neither just a video instruction. We test this with our customers. Again, this approach of creating a multimodal SOP, and the result has been very impactful. So we can hear things like, the SOP generation will save us a lot of time and effort. Again, imagine how many hours of work an expert needs to go out of his task to document things, right? And also the type of efficiency that you get there with the type of way to document those things. We, like, Maven is intuitive to use, reducing cognitive efforts and time for the end user. Or even, I love this one, like the DeepHow AI quiz catch me out. So anyways, these are all to show this approach we are introducing is not just coming from our innovative mindset, but it's more connecting the needs. The current state of the art of SOP, why does it matter to impact this SOP, connect to the efficiency and all these methodologies and technology, right? So when you put those things together, then you can create something new that has an impact. That's really what matters. Courtney, I will then just bring this to a quick walkthrough how we do that at DeepHow. But do you want me to pause? Is there any question? How do we do that?
Yeah, I think we can keep rolling, but we're watching the chat. So if you do have questions or want to react to what you're seeing, please go ahead and add your thoughts. And then if we want to pause things to address that question, we totally can.
Good. I'll keep going for more 5 minutes at the most. And again,
Okay.
like I said, today the goal is not to do a sales pitch, neither a training on how to use a product. Many of you hopefully are already customers. Some of you may be interested. Then of course can connect and get a demo and so on and so forth. But the goal is more to share from our perspective and all the learning. Again, I'm also not representing only our product team, but all the customers that we have been working with, right? Trying to represent like all the learning that we have been having with these folks together on the shop floor, trying to learn like what exactly they struggle with and why there is a need for changing the way they do things, right? Why there's opportunity to improve the way that they're doing things. I think that today it talks more about this. Of course, if you need the product demo, if you need the training on how we do things and so on and so forth, we can schedule that. Be more than happy to share and show the product and everything, right? Let me then jump a little bit, now that we talk about like why we're doing this and what exactly we're doing, let me jump on how the DeepHow approach works, right? So we call DeepHow Maven. Of course, our goal is to change and to improve, mainly to improve the way that we capture and share knowledge through these AI-powered multimodal SOPs. I will share a short 2-minute video to illustrate that.
Meet Bill, a seasoned expert, and John, a young worker eager to learn. Their teamwork ensures valuable skills are passed on, tackling daily challenges in sharing know-how and optimizing operational efficiency. Traditional SOPs and manuals are time-consuming to create and fail to capture the depth of expert skills. This method lacks engagement, leading to poor learning outcomes and performance. Introducing DeepHow Maven, an AI-powered multimodal SOP platform for operational excellence. DeepHow Maven leverages AI to transform video demonstrations into comprehensive, multimodal SOPs, providing your workforce with detailed, engaging, and easily digestible training materials. With DeepHow Studio, Bill effortlessly converts his video demonstrations into detailed multimodal SOPs. DeepHow Maven generates written SOPs, step-by-step videos, AI quizzes, and SOP summaries, all in one package. John can easily browse and access published multimodal SOPs through the engaging navigator. He can also ask questions using Ask Maven, an AI-powered knowledge engine. It provides instant, context-aware answers from multimodal SOPs and other imported documents, accelerating knowledge transfer. With seamless integration, Bill and John connect multimodal SOPs to their preferred LMS or MES tools and systems. DeepHow Maven transforms SOPs, empowering Bill and John to reduce time and costs, maximize knowledge retention, and achieve operational excellence. Capture expertise and cultivate excellence. Join the growing number of businesses using DeepHow's powerful AI platform. Meet Bill.
Let me just skip this. Yeah, and of course, what you saw is just a teaser sharing exactly what these 3 different products are. And I will walk you through this a little bit. Of course, like we share on the video, right? So then we're introducing the DeepHow Maven. We are transforming a video demonstration into a multimodal SOP, and now we all know why that can be impactful. That's the most important part. And we released 3 major products or adds to our product. That's the part that I will talk about our product, right? Because before I was more talking about why does it matter? Why we together really need to embrace a new way to do things or improve the way we do things. Now let me just talk about our product a little bit. So we have a product called Studio. For the folks who already use DeepHow, we call this editor before. Now I'm embracing this new multimodality approach. So basically on the Studio, you are going to be able to add the video demonstration that we created using our capture apps, and then the AI will automatically transform this into these multimodal things, creating the text SOP for you, creating the quiz for you, and so on and so forth. One approach that we do take at DeepHow is AI is here to serve your needs, to help you to be more efficient, more effective, faster, saving time and costs and so on and so forth. But it's not to replace your work. So then with the studio, you'll be able to generate this content, but also review and edit this content as you wish, right? So the power and the control over the content being created is on your hand. Of course, then let's say AI will do the half part of the work, 80% of the work, and then you are always able to go and edit and adjust as you need, and then are ready to go. But this part is a studio. So then again, what the studio is our product that you can have a demonstration being transformed from video to a multimodal SOP. Video SOP, text SOP, quiz, knowledge assessment, and then the Q&A all in one place. The other product that we launched, and you can have a demo access already, is what we call Ask Maven. So what does it do? Basically, there's an environment that we have our AI, DeepHow Maven will be looking at the content that you have stored in the platform, and then we allow you to ask questions to this content. So basically, we use retrieve augmented, so that RAG is more like from the technology side, we can talk about it, but that's a way to retrieve, index, look at the content that you have, and retrieve just the piece of content that you need, and create an answer, or craft an answer, trying to answer the question that you had, right? And our approach is not a chat that you go and ask and you don't know where this answer is coming from. We have an approach where we are showing the source of information, because that needs to be grounded. It's not just about AI trying to create a fake answer and then you may or may not trust, and then have the risk of getting an answer that is inaccurate, right? In this case, we look at the data, DeepHow Maven look at your data, and then try to craft an answer to match your need, the question that you had. But more importantly, we show where this answer is coming from, and then you can validate that, because we're talking about work environment, so there are a lot of topics there that need to be accurate, right? So that's the Ask Maven. And then we also have our integration package. So what does it mean? Even if you already use other tools to share knowledge today, if you have LMS that you're already using, and then you're powering your workforce with training and so on and so forth, you very likely still need a better way to do SOPs, right? So in that case, even if you have other solutions already in place, you can use the DeepHow solution to transform your regular mundane SOP to this multimodal SOP, and then you can plug these in the systems you already have. So that means even if you have other systems, you can still take advantage of multimodal SOP through our integration. So you basically see in our package that you can convert the content into multimodal SOP and consume that in our own apps, the Navigator apps, the Skills apps, the Ask Maven, and so on and so forth, or you can plug this into whatever tool you're already using and is already adopted. And there's many of our customers, they take this path, but it's very, very helpful because we already have invested in these tools. They have been successful already, but normally they are more focused on white collar environment. There's no hands-on work, and the multimodal SOP is not there, right? So now you can expand the power of the tools that you're already using to the shop floor environment, taking the advantage of this multimodal SOP. I think, Courtney, that's ends a little bit my part. Again, of course, if people are interested on a product demo, or product training, and so on and so forth, more than happy. Just the goal today was just trying to share what we have been seeing together with a couple of hundred different big customers out there, what we have been seeing, what the challenges were, how the technology and the literature can help us to understand the opportunity for impacting that, and how do we see this moving forward, right? So, yeah, I will pause here. More than happy to answer any questions. Also learn from your feedback. It would be great to hear your feedback as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Patrick. We are doing great on time. So with that, let's go ahead and get into our discussion and Q&A. If you don't mind, Patrick, do you mind stopping your share, and then that way folks can see us a little better? Perfect. Great. All right. Well, the chat has been busy while you were speaking. So there's a few questions that I was able to answer, but I'd love to get your input here, Patrick, as well. Simona asked, Patrick mentioned that video and SOPs are secure because they're hosted in-house. Could you expand a little bit on the security of the info?
Perfect. Yeah, that's very good question. And I think everybody's so concerned about it. So basically, we are hosting, of course, we have our servers. So your content is in our server. We don't own the content, you own the content, but we are processing this content, right? And the large language models that we use, they are not like OpenAI that you send this content or your questions, queries to outside. So those are all local in our servers. So that means we shield this from the outside environment. So when we're interacting with our AI solutions, you are not sending this content out of this environment that we already agree upon. And when we have a client, we work with the IT and cybersecurity team. We have all the compliance registrations, like SOC 2 Type 2, and a couple of different certifications. But normally we go through a process to validate our tool with our client's IT and cybersecurity team, so they can see that we have this safe environment, that nobody has access but your company. And when we interact with these AI models, you're not sending your data out. So that's just in short. And of course, more than happy to jump in a call if needed, to walk you through a little bit more deep on how does it work. Did it answer your question?
I think so, but if there's any follow-ups to that, please drop it in the chat. We have another question from Nina. How are future changes versioning of the SOPs managed or tracked?
Good, great question. See, that's the entire beauty of this. So it's not about creating and editing videos only, it's more about instruction. And instruction is a live document, and that's what change over time, right? So we do have, we track the history of these documents, we track the version, so we have version control. Then you can see different versions of this document, you can see who modified this version, and you can also see the comments and notes that they had there, and so on and so forth. So short answer is, we are focused on an enterprise solution, so all those things are in place. Version control, traceability, and so on and so forth.
Great. My Zoom crashed again, but I got right back in. So sometimes it just tries to keep us on our feet. A question from Mike in the Q&A. Can Maven be available and or added to MESs or other screens at the shop floor?
Yep, so great question. Yeah, short answer is yes. So we have a suite of integrations with LMS and AMS and different types of applications, either like on a machine directly on the shop floor, on the computers, like LMS. Right? So the short answer is yes. Of course, depending on the type of integration, we may take different paths, but the direct answer is yes, we can integrate with any of these solutions. That's exactly the beauty of this, that you already have a place where people are either tracking their job or checking the tickets that they got and they need to finish, even more like when I talk about maintenance folks, for example. Right? And then why not providing the content right there in the context where the person is needing help with, right? So short answer is yes.
Great. And then another question to follow up regarding the security topic. What security certifications does DeepHow have? Oh, and Mike says, great, thank you.
Good. So yeah, so on the IT and compliance topic, of course, out of the bat, I can tell, like we are SOC 2 Type 2 compliant, we are GDPR compliant, and I have, there is a person responsible for the IT and compliance part that he could give a more comprehensive list of all the certifications. And if you need, of course, Kirsten can provide this material to you directly. I will not know on top of my head all of them, but just to illustrate. So we have been working with all these large, big companies around the globe, right? Anheuser-Busch, Stanley Black & Decker, and so on and so forth, Georgia Pacific, and they all put us through a process of validate every single security claims we have, because what we're dealing with is their know-how, right? So it's a very, very serious topic, and we want to make sure that those things are secure. So short answer is we can follow up and share with you a more comprehensive material if you need. Because I don't want to just bring the ones that I have from top of my memory, and then that would be lacking the accuracy of this information. Does it sound fair?
Yeah, absolutely. And we can definitely reach out to you post-webinar as well, Simona. Okay, a question from Derek, who is one of our customers. How soon will we be able to take our existing SOPs in Word and put them into DeepHow Maven so we can AI generate a quiz?
Good question. Yeah, so see, just to highlight, so that's one thing that we have been seeing a lot of adoption, a lot of impact, the quiz generation, because again, the content, the knowledge sharing and transfer is not just about making the content available, but making sure that we can test if the worker got it, right? If the knowledge transfer really happened. So that's why we are investing more and more on this assessment. Quiz is a very good example. So Derek, of course, we still are working on that. So maybe in a quarter, we are going to have some things that you can test out. We would love to partner with you to test those things out. So just to illustrate Derek's question, because now we have a video demonstration, we record, you record using our apps, and then we can transform this into this multimodal. We are also already testing the capability and we have this already in the lab. We just don't have this launched as a product yet. We'll be more than happy to even use you as a test, Derek. There's a multimodal from the input that basically you don't need to input a video, but you can input just a raw document, the PDF that you have. And by the way, that's what our Ask Maven already does. So as of today, right now, you can either create new content with our capture apps, or you can dump the files that you have. And of course, that's on beta, and we're going to open that for production. We can add the files that you have, your traditional SOPs, to our system, and then ask questions to this content, right? So that's on beta, and more like on the lab. So we'll bring this in this next quarter.
Great. All right. And then we have a question from Peter. Can we have a specific instance of DeepHow Maven that will only reference a specific workspace or set of videos? This way we could make DeepHow Maven available to public customers while not sharing sensitive internal videos and associated content.
Yes, perfect. So short answer is yes, we already can do it. So basically when you are on our Ask Maven, you can point to a specific what we call workspace. Imagine this almost as a folder, right? So you can put content in this specific workspace, and then you can log and say, look, the question will be just driven to this target environment, and then you have exactly what we're talking about. And we'd love to learn more from you to see how can we partner with that, because there's a very interesting thing. Many use cases that we see from our customers, they're providing content to the buyers of their product, right? And if that's the case that you're interested on, I also love to learn and talk with you offline. That's a very interesting use case that we want to invest more on.
Yeah, I agree. That is a really interesting use case. Something we should absolutely learn more about. We got some kudos on the AI quizzes. Thank you, Derek. Peter volunteers to be a tester of some of these updates. Thank you, Peter. We'll keep that in mind. All right. And then we do have another question around integrations, which integrations we offer for existing LMS.
Good. Yeah, so basically, of course, we cover the major standards out there, right? So when you look at SCORM and all these major standards, we are covering. So the short answer is, if your LMS is connected with any of the major standards out there, we can support all of them. And just as an example, like, so then from the more like a product perspective, we can connect with Workday, with Docebo, with all these standard and big players on the LMS environment. So again, I can give you a list, because if you can get this attendees contact, I can give a list and a more comprehensive document with all the standards that we cover, as well as the major players that we are already partnering with, or we are on the progress to partner with.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we'll be sending a recording of the webinar out, so we can include those supplemental documents as well.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Just another quick thing, Courtney, because I don't want this to sound more like a sales pitch. We can connect everything. The key thing here is the why behind it, right? And what we want to empower. So what we see is majority of our customers, they are large enterprise. Of course, many of them are SMBs as well. So we embrace all this diversity for sure, and we can impact all of them. But then the key thing is, many of them, they already have a solution in place for LMS, right? So that's why we are working very closely to say, like, well, if you already have a solution, I'm pretty sure this solution doesn't cover multimodal SOP, because we're introducing this to the market, right? So, but that also means you already have a channel. You already have a connection with all your workers and a workflow and a tool that they use to consume content and so on and so forth. So not necessarily they need to go to DeepHow, but you can use DeepHow, you can leverage DeepHow as a tool to create this content, right? So that's why we have been heavily invest in this integration piece to make sure that it's seamless. Right?
No, it's so important because, I think about my own experience working at large companies. There's so many softwares to log into, and especially if you're somebody who's not sitting at a desk all day, you have very limited time to do some of these more digital activities. It's very important that you only need to log into just a couple of applications. And what's great about, I mean, I'll toot our own horn a little bit, is